"Yes, my lord, like yourself," said the queen, ironically. Mazarin pretended not to understand the double meaning of his own sentence, but continued to compassionate the fate of Concino Concini. "Well, then, your Eminence," said the queen, becoming impatient, "what is your answer?" "Madame," cried Mazarin, more and more moved, "will your Majesty permit me to give you counsel?" "Speak, sir," replied the queen. "The counsels of so prudent a man as yourself ought certainly to be available." "Madame, believe me, the king ought to defend himself to the last. He has done so, sir, and this last battle, which he encounters with resources much inferior to those of the enemy, proves that he will not yield without a struggle but in case he is beaten. Well, madame, in that case, my adversary know that I am very bold to offer advice to your majesty. My advice is that the king should not leave his kingdom. Absent kings are very soon forgotten. If he passes over into France his cause is lost. But," persisted the queen, "if such be your advice and you have his interest at heart, send him help of men and money, for I can do nothing for him. I have sold even to my last diamond to aid him. If I had had a single ornament left, I should have bought wood this winter to make a fire for my daughter and myself." "Oh, madame," said Mazarin, "your Majesty knows not what you ask. On the day when foreign succour follows in the train of a king to replace him on his throne, it is an avowal that he no longer possesses the help and love of his own subjects. To the point, sir," said the queen, "to the point, and answer me. Yes or no, if the king persists in remaining in England, will you send him succour? If he comes to France, will you accord him hospitality? What do you intend to do? Speak." "Madame," said the cardinal, affecting an effusive frankness of speech, "I shall convince your Majesty, I trust, of my devotion to you and my desire to terminate an affair which you have so much at heart. After which your Majesty will, I think, no longer doubt my zeal in your behalf." The queen bit her lips and moved impatiently on her chair. "Well, what do you propose to do?" she said at length. "Come, speak." "I will go this instant and consult the queen, and we will refer the affair at once to Parliament, with which you are at war, is it not so? You will charge Broussel to report it." "Enough, sir, enough. I understand you, or rather, I am wrong. Go to the Parliament, for it was from this Parliament, the enemy of monarchs, that the daughter of the great, the sublime Henry IV, whom you so much admire, received the only relief this winter which prevented her from dying of hunger and cold." And with these words Henrietta rose in majestic indignation, whilst the cardinal, raising his hands clasped toward her, exclaimed, "Ah, madame, madame, how little you know me, mon Dieu!" But Queen Henrietta, without even turning toward him who made these hypocritical pretensions, crossed the cabinet, opened the door for herself, and passing through the midst of the cardinal's numerous guards, courtiers eager to pay homage, the luxurious show of a competing royalty, she went and took the hand of De Winter, who stood apart in isolation. Poor queen, already fallen, though all bowed before her, as etiquette required, she had now but a single arm on which she could lean. "It signifies little," said Mazarin, when he was alone. "It gave me pain, and it was an ungracious part to play. But I have said nothing either to the one or to the other." Bernouin entered. "See if the young man with the black doublet and the short hair, who was with me just now, is still in the palace." Bernouin went out, and soon returned with Comminges, who was on guard. "Your Eminence," said Comminges, "as I was reconducting the young man for whom you have asked, he approached the glass door of the gallery, and gazed intently upon some object, doubtless the picture by Raphael, which is opposite the door. He reflected for a second, and then descended the stairs. I believe I saw him mount a grey horse and leave the palace court. But is not your eminence going to the queen?" "For what purpose?" "Monsieur de Gutent, my uncle, has just told me that her majesty had received news of the army. It is well, I will go." Comminges had seen rightly, and Mordaunt had really acted as he had related. In crossing the gallery parallel to the large glass gallery, he perceived De Winter, who was waiting until the queen had finished her negotiation. At this sight the young man stopped short, not in admiration of Raffles's picture, but as if fascinated at the sight of some terrible object. His eyes dilated, and a shudder ran through his body. One would have said that he longed to break through the wall of glass which separated him from his enemy, for if Comminges had seen with what an expression of hatred the eyes of this young man were fixed upon De Winter, he would not have doubted for an instant that the Englishman was his eternal foe.